My 2017 KTM 250XC has done 295 hours now, and I've just taken the top end apart to do the second top end overhaul, and I thought I'd show you the condition of the engine parts. So this is the cylinder. It's the original cylinder, so it's done 295 hours. You can see the exhaust side of the cylinder. It's still in pretty good condition. You can still see the cross hatching. I haven't cleaned it up at all yet, so I thought I'd show it unclean first. And this is the intake side. Again, pretty good condition. It's got a few minor scratches, but you can still see the cross hatching very clearly. Next is the piston. I haven't cleaned this at all. It's as it came out of the engine. And this piston has done 150 hours now. And I'd say it's in very good condition. It's got a few minor marks, very minor scratches, but in general it's in very good shape and it shows very little wear. So this is the intake side, and the exhaust side is pretty similar. Very light wear. On the sides there's a little bit of blow-by on each side, and the top, you can see on the exhaust side there's no carbon deposit there at all. The rest of it has some carbon deposit, but it's pretty thin. The scratch marks are actually when I did a squish test and I fed the solder in, and it scratched the carbon off the top. So you can see the carbon layer is very thin. And here's the wrist pin. It's done 150 hours, same as the piston. There's some minor discoloration, but there's no marks I could feel. So I think it's in pretty good condition. And this is the RK Tek head, which I installed recently. It only has 12 hours on it. You can see on the intake side, there's no carbon deposits at all. And then on the exhaust, there's some light carbon deposits. And these two marks here are where I did a squish test. And the solder was fed into the cylinder, and then I bumped the piston round to top dead center and it squashed the solder, and it's removed the carbon in these two places. So you can see it's a very, very light coating of carbon. Here you can see the intake side of the cylinder bore. There are some light scratches and wear marks going up and down, but certainly nothing you can feel, and you can clearly see the cross hatching. To measure the amount of wear, I'm going to do some cylinder bore measurements in a separate video. So if you're interested in that, please check that out. And this is the exhaust side of the cylinder bore. And again, you can see some light scratches and wear marks, but you can also see the cross hatching. Next, I'm going to do a ring end gap measurement. And I've put the top ring in the bore. And the KTM spec is to position it 20 millimeters from the top of the cylinder. So I've measured 20 millimeters on this piston and put some tape, and I'm going to push the ring down to 20 millimeters, so just there. And to perform the ring end gap measurement, you need some feeler gauges. The KTM spec is a maximum of 0.4 millimeters, so I'm going to start with 0.4 millimeter feeler gauge, and you can see there it fits in, so the gap is more than 0.4 millimeters. I made a video about ring end gap recently, and highlighted that even with brand new rings, OEM rings, the gap is actually larger than 0.4. So right now I've got 0.45 millimeters, and that feels a little tighter, and I'm going to see if 0.5 millimeters fits in. And 0.5 does not fit in. So the gap is somewhere between 0.45 and 0.5 millimeters. This table summarizes both the minimum and maximum ring end gap specifications specified by various manufacturers. The minimum ring end gap spec is important for new rings, and you should ensure the gap is greater than the minimum spec. The maximum spec is important for older rings, and you want to ensure the gap is less than the maximum specification. KTM only specify a maximum spec of 0.4 millimeters, but it's my experience that even brand new rings exceed this spec, so I don't place much importance on it. Next is Vertex, and you should note that Vertex is the OEM supplier to KTM for both piston and rings, and they specify both minimum and maximum specs. And Wiseco only specify minimum spec. So the ring I measured, the gap was between 0.45 and 0.5 millimeters, which is within the Vertex maximum specification. So it's good to see that even running their rings at up to 150 hours, they're still within specification. So I'm pretty impressed with the condition of the engine parts. The cylinder has done a total of 295 hours now, and about half of that has been with the STIC metering block. I'm going to rebuild my engine, and what I'm thinking is I have a spare cylinder which has only done 4 hours, and I'm going to fit that, and then I can take my time and overhaul this cylinder. So I want to overhaul the power valve, and I also want to make another video showing bore measurement, and based on the bore measurement, what piston size you should use with the cylinder. So if you're interested in that, please look out for that video.